Hi, I'm Blake Repine, and welcome to Strategy, Leadership, and Impact. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of Strategy, Leadership, and Impact. Hope you've been well since the last time you tuned in. Today, I really want to talk to you about 4 myths of leadership that you may have heard or you may believe yourself. Now, I know there's probably many more than just 4, but I'm just focused in on 4 that I want to talk about today. But just before we get into the actual topic, go on to whatever platform you listen on or watch on. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a review, whatever. Just help promote the podcast. Share it with others. Help us spread the word. Help us spread the knowledge. So on to today's topic. A lot of people think that there's certain things that will or won't happen whenever they become a leader. And by leader, I'm actually talking about a leadership role or a position or a senior position within an organization. And so that actually brings us up to our first myth. So it's you're a leader because of your title or your job or your position within the organization. And that is actually not true. A lot of people think that just because people are in a certain position or because wherever you're at, you see yourself aspiring to this position of leadership, that you can't lead wherever you're at right now. And that's false. So you can lead from anywhere within the organization. Leadership is not a title. It's how you interact and treat people. It's also how you act in yourself. Those are leadership qualities that the leader has. Just because you have a fancy title or you're a certain level in an organization, you are expected to lead based on those positions or those titles. However, doesn't necessarily mean that you are a leader. Sometimes there's a disconnect between leadership skills that are expected within a role and leadership skills of the individual. Same thing as well. Some people that display really great leadership qualities and attributes at a junior level, sometimes they're afraid to bring those forward because they think, well, I can't lead because I'm this junior level person. Well, that's absolutely not true. A good book I would refer you to read is A 360 Degree Leader by John Maxwell. Really great book. And he talks about leading up, leading side to side, and leading down, so you can lead from any position within the organization. The next myth that I want to cover is once you're in a senior position, everyone will do what you say. That's true to a point, but they don't have to. People never have to do what you say. Control is an illusion. People are obedient to you based off potential ramifications they might face if they're not, or if they're not respectful to you. If they're being disobedient, whatever, not doing what you ask them to. However, you don't want your position to be the reason why people do things. You want the reason why people to do things is because they're motivated to do them to get them done. So you never try to use that control of a position to get things done unless you absolutely have to. In a very, situation where something needs to be done immediately, or sometimes there's infighting, whatever, within the organization or the team, and you just need to put your foot down, say, nope, this is how we're going to do it, and drive on. But that's rare that's going to happen, particularly if you're around a really good team. So don't think that everybody will do what you say, because one thing, managing for compliance will only achieve minimal results. So think about, you want to get people to do what you need them to do or what they need to do because they're motivated to do it, not because you tell them to. And then this next one, this is kind of a big one, I guess, that I've seen and actually dealt with, and some people have this misconception, is once you're in a senior role or leadership position, you can do whatever you want. That some rules don't apply to you. And to some extent, this may be true depending on, certain levels within an organization are given certain concessions or whatever to be able to do things. However, there's some rules that will always apply to you, that regardless of what role you're in, and a lot of these around, legal requirements, legislative requirements, just requirements in how you treat people. But even more so when you're in the senior roles, they apply to you even more. And the reason why I say that is because you are setting the example of how people should act. And some of the best ways that you set this example on how people should act is actually in how you make decisions. Are they ethical decisions? Are they moral decisions? Those rules still apply to you even at that greater level. There's no wiggle room. Matter of fact, there's probably even less wiggle room at that upper level because people are watching what you do. They're seeing how you you make decisions, seeing how you carry yourself. And if you're not doing these things that are ethical and moral, they're going to start doing those same things. So they think they can get away with it as well. And then whenever you go to try to bring them back in line, one, they're going to throw it back in your face and you're not going to be able to. It's going to be incredibly difficult. Also, if you're running the cultural organization that way, eventually you're going to hit a cliff and you're going to go over that cliff if you're not actually growing a positive culture and you're growing that culture of immoral and unethical things. And then the last myth I want to talk to you about is whenever you're in a leadership or senior role, you'll have more time to relax or your work will get easier. And that is not the case. Your work doesn't get easier. The nature of your work changes as you move up in the organization. Your reliance on technical skills is here whenever you first start. And as you start to grow in the organization, your reliance on interpersonal skills grow and your leadership skills as they develop, and your reliance on technical skills decreases. So eventually your interpersonal skills and reliance on those things will be up here, and reliance on technical skills down here. But this is where you build your team. Now, your immediate team, depending on the size of the organization, could be those that rely heavily on their own interpersonal skills at the top. And of course, down, it's more on the technical skills. So the nature of your work changes, but the volume of your work doesn't, or the intensity of your work doesn't change. If anything, you're actually going to be busier because you'll be more in demand in those higher level roles. So it's almost to the point, depending on what type of organization it is and the size of it, where you are nearly considered it to be at work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So how you're conducting yourself whenever you're out in public, how you're conducting yourself in your private life, all these things will be under scrutiny when you're in those higher levels. Whereas whenever you're probably in the lower levels or very junior roles, it's not as much. People aren't actually looking at your whole life as much. Whereas particularly the larger the organization, the more public facing the organization is, the more these things are going to be under scrutiny. So you really have to take those things into account. So again, you're not necessarily going to have time to relax more. It definitely isn't the road to easy street. So once you're at those high levels in the organization, and once you're in those really prominent levels, the work is actually going to be 10 times as much. You're going to have to continue to work hard to stay there, to maintain what you've accomplished. So again, hopefully I've debunked that for you. Like I said, there's probably a lot more myths out there. This was just 4 that I just want to kind of put together really quick. But I want to know, what are some of the myths you've heard? What are some things you want to tell me that you perhaps have heard people say, or you've thought yourself that are untrue now? Let me know. So send me an email at blakerepine@gmail.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Blake Repine. Send me a message through there. You can also send me a message through any of the social media platforms that we're on, Instagram, Facebook, for example. Anyway, I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you again soon.